Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we're going to continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 25, Text 12. We are hearing the story of Purañjana. Narad Muni is, he wants to give instruction to King Prachinabarisha, but he understands the position of King Prachinabarisha is that his mind is too occupied and engaged in doing a lot of sacrifices for fruitive results. So he's telling him an allegorical story of Purañjana. Purañjana is the story of every living entity. We are all embodied inside this body. We are the soul and we are inside this body. So, na sadhu me neta sarvam.
Sadhu mene ta sarva.
Bhutale yavati purah.
Bhutale yavati puraha.
Kaman kamayamanosav.
Kaman kamaya manosa.
Tasya tasyopapatya pattaye.
Tasya tasya patapataye.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Samishla Prabhupada. King Purañjana had unlimited desires for sense enjoyment. Consequently, he traveled all over the world to find a place where all his desires could be fulfilled. Unfortunately, he found a feeling of insufficiency everywhere. Srila Vidyapati, a great Vaishnava poet, has sung, Tatala Saikate Vari Bindu Sama Sutamita Ramani Samaje. Material sense gratification with society, friendship, and love is herein compared to a drop of water falling on a desert. A desert requires oceans of water to satisfy it. And if only a drop of water is supplied, what is its use? Similarly, the living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who, as stated in the Vedanta Sutra, is Anandamayobhyasad, full of enjoyment. We are always seeking enjoyment. Why? Because we are Anandamayobhyasad. Anandamayobhyasad. We are part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna is full of enjoyment. We are part and parcel of him. So we are also seeking enjoyment. However, complete enjoyment cannot be achieved separate from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In his wanderings in the different species of life, the living entity may taste some type of enjoyment in one body or another. But full enjoyment of the senses cannot be obtained in any material body. So material enjoyment, we are so attached to it, right? We really get the thrills of enjoyment. But it is compared to one drop of ocean in the desert. The desert is dry. One drop of ocean, one drop of water, what use is it? But actually, that is the happiness that we are experiencing here in the material world, and we are thinking we are very happy. But somehow or the other, that feeling is still there that we want more. We are seeking unlimited enjoyment, and that unlimited enjoyment we can experience only in connection with Krishna when we engage in devotional service. Thus, Puranjana, the living entity, wanders in different types of bodies, but everywhere meets frustration in his attempt to enjoy. In other words, the spiritual spark covered by matter cannot fully enjoy the senses in any circumstance in material life. So, some of us may have experienced it, some of us may not have experienced it. That, we are trying to enjoy, we enjoy for a certain time, but then again comes frustration. A deer may become absorbed in the musical sounds vibrated by the hunter, but the result is that it loses its life. Similarly, a fish is very expert in gratifying its tongue, but when it eats the bait offered by the fisherman, it loses its life. Even the elephant, who is so strong, is captured and loses its independence while satisfying its genitals with a female elephant. Yeah. So, in each and every species of life, the living entity gets a body to satisfy various senses, but he cannot enjoy all his senses at one time. You know, the fish, when it sees the bait, the fish wants to eat, but what happens? He gets caught. The deer, by his ears, he's hearing this music by the hunter, but it gets caught. The elephant, they catch the elephant. How? They dig a hole, they cover it with grass, and next to that pit, they keep a she elephant. And the male elephant wants to go towards the she elephant, and he falls inside the pit and he gets captured. So, because we are looking to gratify our senses, we get caught in this web of Maya. So we may be able to enjoy one of our senses, one or two of our senses at one time, but we are not able to enjoy all our senses at the same time. In the human form of life, he gets an opportunity to enjoy all his senses pervertly, but the result is that he becomes so harassed in his attempted sense gratification that he ultimately becomes morose. As he tries to satisfy his senses more and more, he becomes more and more entangled. So we are not able to see it. We are thinking, I'm enjoying, I can do whatever I like. But actually, we are getting more and more reactions in this material world, and we are creating more and more bodies for us. So our time in the material world is getting longer and longer because how we are being entangled. Any comments? Mhm. Okay,
No,
let's
all
read.
good.
Okay, thank you. So ekada himavato
स एकदा हिमवातो
dakshinesha athas
दक्षिणेश्वर अचस्तानुसु
tadarsha navabir dvarbhe
तदर्श नवभूद्वारभि
puram lakshita lakshanam.
पुरं लक्षितलक्षणाम्.
Once, while wandering in this way, he saw on the southern side of the Himalayas, in a place named Bharatvarsh, India, a city that had 9 gates, all about, and was characterized by all auspicious facilities. The tract of land south of the Himalaya mountains is the land of India, which is known as Bharatvarsh. When a living entity takes birth in Bharatvarsh, he is considered to be most fortunate. So, indeed, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has stated in Caitaniya Caritamita Adi Leela, chapter 9, text 41, Bharata Bhumite Haila Manusha Janmayar, Janma Sarthaka Kare Karapara Upakar. Thus, whoever takes birth in the land of Bharatvarsh attains all the facilities of life. He may take advantage of all these facilities for both material and spiritual advancement and thus make his life successful. So, actually, it's an instruction given by Lord Chaitanya that everyone who's born in India, in the land of India, should preach the glories of Lord Krishna, should give this holy name to everyone around the world. So, because there's this natural piety, there's this natural inclination towards spiritual life to one who's born in India. So, one can take up spiritual life more easier. And so, Lord Chaitanya has given this instruction. After gaining the goal of life, one may distribute his knowledge and experience all over the world for humanitarian purposes. So, the real humanitarian cause is giving the holy name, giving the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, giving this mantra to everyone. so that everyone can make a permanent solution to birth, death, old age, and disease, that everyone can go back home to Golok Vrindavan. In other words, one who takes birth in the land of Bharatvarsh by virtue of his past pious activities gets full facility to develop the human form of life. In India, the climatic condition is such that one can live very peacefully without being disturbed by material conditions. Indeed, during the time of Maharaj Yudhishthir or Lord Ramachandra, people were free from all anxieties. There was not even extreme cold or extreme heat. So yeah, that's why people say, oh, we want Ram Rajya, or be ruled by Maharaj Yudhishthir. We hear in Bhagavatam earlier chapters how when Maharaj Yudhishthir became the emperor after the battle of Kurukshetra, how the earth was so happy that by itself it was producing so much fruit and vegetables and grains and the minerals and gold and silver. And the cows were so happy that they were just flooding the fields with their milk. Milk was just pouring out of their milk bags. So the three kinds of miserable conditions, Adhyatmika, Adhibhautika, and Adhidaivika, miseries inflicted by the body and mind itself, those inflicted by other living entities, and natural disturbances were all absent during the reign of Lord Ramachandra or Maharaj Yudhishthir. But at present, compared to other countries on earth, India is artificially disturbed. Despite these material disturbances, however, the country's culture is such that one can easily attain the goal of life, namely salvation or liberation from material bondage. Thus, in order to take birth in India, one must have performed many pious activities in a past life. So again, Prabhupada is again saying the same point that those who are born in India because they've done some pious activity in the past life, they have the natural inclination towards spiritual life to understand about liberation, to understand, oh, I'm not the body, I'm the soul. There's that natural inclination is there. In this verse, the word Lakshita Lakshanam indicates that the human body attained in Bharatvarsh is very auspicious. Vedic culture is full of knowledge, and a person born in India can fully take advantage of Vedic cultural knowledge and the cultural system known as Varna Sharma Dharma. Even at the present time, as we travel all over the world, we see that in some countries, human beings have many material facilities, but no facilities for spiritual advancement. We find everywhere the defects of one-sided facilities and a lack of full facilities. And so Prabhupada is saying that he travels and there is so much modernization, there's facilities, so much facilities out there. But nowhere is spiritual life being taught. Nowhere is spiritual culture being taught. Nowhere is being taught the science of the soul. That facility is missing. Material facilities are there, but the spiritual facilities are missing. A blind man can walk but not see, and a lame man cannot walk but can see. Following the logic called Andha Pangu Nyaya, the blind man may take the lame man over his shoulder, and as the blind man walks, the lame man may give him directions. Thus combined they may walk, but individually neither the blind man nor the lame man can walk successfully. Somebody is blind, somebody is lame. So the blind man can put the lame man on the shoulder, and the lame man can tell him, okay, go here, go there. So similarly, this human form of life is meant for the advancement of spiritual life and for keeping the material necessities in order. Especially in the Western countries, there are ample facilities for material comforts, but no one has any idea of spiritual advancement. Many are hankering after spiritual advancement, but many cheaters come, take advantage of their money, bluff them, and go away. Fortunately, the Krishna consciousness movement is there to give all facilities for both material and spiritual advancement. In this way, people in the Western countries may take advantage of this movement. In India, any man in the villages, unaffected by the industrial cities of India, can still live in any condition and make spiritual advancement. The body has been called the city of nine gates, and these nine gates include. So, what are the nine gates? We are living inside this city of nine gates. The body has nine gates. They are the two eyes, two ears, two nostrils, one mouth, a genital organ, and a rectum. When the nine gates are clean and working properly, it is to be understood that the body is healthy. In India, these nine gates are kept clean by the villagers who rise early in the morning, bathe in the well or rivers, go to the temples to attend Mangal Aarti, chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and take prasad. In this way, one can take advantage of all the facilities of human life. We are gradually introducing this system in different centers in our society in the Western countries. So Prabhupada is, we can see now practically how there are temples all over the world. Then there is a full morning program is there, and how the devotees are leading such pure lives. So one who takes advantage of it becomes more and more enlightened in spiritual life. At the present moment, India may be compared to the lame man and the Western countries to the blind man. For the past 2000 years, India has been subjugated by the rule of foreigners, and the legs of progress have been broken. In the Western countries, the eyes of the people have become blind due to the dazzling glitter of material opulence. The blind man of the Western countries and the lame man of India should combine together in this Krishna consciousness movement. Then the lame man of India can walk with the help of the Westerner, and the blind Westerner can see with the help of the lame man. In short, the material advancement of the Western countries and the spiritual assets of India should combine for the elevation of all human society. So Srila Prabhupada is saying, let's coordinate, let's cooperate, There's material advancement is there is spiritual culture, and both are needed for a healthy life to get the aim of human life. Para karo pavanatala prakaro. Sorry. Parikher akshatorane
Parikher akshatorane
swarnaropya yase shringe
Swarnaropyaya she shringe
sankulam sarvato grihe.
Sankulam sarvatu grihe.
That city was surrounded by walls and parks, and within it were towers, canals, windows, and outlets. The houses there were decorated with domes made of gold, silver, and iron. The body is protected by walls of skin. The hairs on the body compared to parks. So we have the skin, no? Inside is all the blood and the soft tissue. If the skin is not there, it would be very ghastly to see the body. I don't know if you all have seen it when there is a deep cut, or like a really deep cut. It's not very pleasant sight. So the skin is covering all the things inside. The hairs on the body are compared to parks, and the highest parts of the body, like the nose and head, are compared to towers. The wrinkles and depressions on different parts of the body are compared to trenches or canals. The eyes are compared to windows, and the eyelids are compared to protective gates. The three types of metal, gold, silver, and iron. represent the three modes of material nature. Gold represents goodness, silver passion, and iron ignorance. The body is also sometimes considered to be a bag containing three elements, tridhatu, mucus, bile, and air, kapha, pitta, and vayu. Yasyatma buddhi kunape tridhatuke. According to Bhagavatam, Canto 10, chapter 84, text 13, one who considers this bag of mucus, bile, and air to be the self is considered no better than a cow or an ass. So Bhagavatam is calling us these names. But Bhagavatam is not to belittle us or to, ridicule us or, like not a question of low self-esteem or something. But Bhagavatam is saying this just to wake us up, shake us up. Hey, you're not the body, you're the soul. This body is only a bag, this bag. And inside is bile and air and mucus. Prabhupada would always give one story. I don't know if you know that there was this very beautiful young woman, and once a man he gets too much after her. He starts troubling her all the time, and keeps telling her, "I want to be with you," and she's like, "Hey, I'm married." But he's just because she's so beautiful, a young, beautiful girl. So she tells him, okay, you come after a week. So what she does during this week, she takes some medicine, some purgatives, which makes her keep on throwing up, make her have too much of diarrhea. And all these things which are coming out of her body, she collects them in buckets and keeps them. And so then after a week of taking this kind of medicine, she becomes like thin and her, beauty gets faded. So the man comes, she opens the door to him, and he's like, "Oh, where is that beautiful young girl?" The girl says, "It's me. I'm the one." He says, "What? About a week ago, you were so beautiful. What happened?" So she says, "You know what's the secret of my beauty?" And she shows him all these things in the bucket, the horrible things. But we are so fascinated by the body, we are not able to understand actually what it is. So Prabhupada would often give this example. Okay. Nila Svatika Vaidurya
La Svatika Vedurya
Mukta Marakatarune
Mukta Marakatarune
Klepta Harnyas Thalim Diptam
Lipta Harmyastalim Vittam
Shriya Bhogavatim Iva.
Shriya Bhagavatim Iva.
The floors of the houses in that city were made of sapphire, crystal, diamonds, pearls, emeralds, and rubies. Because of the luster of the houses in the capital, the city was compared to the celestial town named Bhogavati. In the city of the body, the heart is considered to be the capital. Just as the capital of a state is especially gorgeously filled with various high buildings and lustrous palaces, the heart of the body is filled with various desires and plans for material enjoyment. So we have one desire after another. One desire doesn't get fulfilled, we have another 100 desires waiting. We have one plan, we are executing one plan, and we are planning so many others. Such plans are sometimes compared to valuable jewels, such as sapphires, rubies, pearls, and emeralds. The heart becomes the center of all planning. Planning for what? For material enjoyment. That's all. That's what we are seeking. Material enjoyment, and we give it different names. We give it we may give it fancy names, but after all, it all boils down to material enjoyment. Sabha Chatvara Rathya Bhe. Akir, yes,
Yeah,
please.
sorry.
Yeah, please, yeah. Akridayatanapane
Akridayatanapan
Chaitya Dvaja Pataka
Chaitya Dvaja Patakabhi
Yuktam Vidruma Vedibihi.
Yuktam Vedruma Vedibihi.
In that city, there were many assembly houses, street crossings, streets, restaurants, gambling houses, markets, resting places, flags, festivals, and beautiful parks. All these surrounded the city. In this way, the capital is described. In the capital, there are assembly houses and many squares, many street crossings, avenues, and streets, many gambling places, markets, and places of rest, all decorated with flags and festoons. The squares are surrounded with railings and are devoid of trees. The heart of the body can be compared to the assembly house, for the living entity is within the heart along with the Paramatma. And thus the heart is the center of all remembrance, forgetfulness, and deliberation. So the heart, first it was called the capital. So now the capital is being described. The heart is the capital, and the heart is where the Jivatma and the Paramatma are sitting. The soul and the super soul are sitting. We are the soul, and Krishna is the super soul, and both are sitting in the heart. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sanivishto Matasmritir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. So Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, text 15, Mrita, what? He's saying Mata Smritir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. Mata Smritir Jnanam. He's saying that all this remembrance, forgetfulness, and knowledge is coming from me. You know, we get so proud, oh, I can remember so much, or I have so much knowledge, or I have the ability to forget. All this is given to us by Krishna. In the body, the eyes, ears, and nose are different places of attraction for sense enjoyment, and the streets for going hither and thither may be compared to different types of air blowing within the body. The yogic process for controlling the air within the body and the different nerves is called Sushumna. Sushumna, the path of liberation. The body is also a resting place because when the living entity becomes fatigued, he takes rest within the body. The palms and the soles of the feet are compared to flags and festoons. So this is the description of the um, city. It's the description of the body that is being given. Puryastu bhayo pavane
Suryastu Bhayo Pavane
divya druma lata kule
Divya Druna Lata Kule
nadat vihangali kula
Nadat Vihangali Kula
kola hala jalashaye.
Kola Hala Jala Shaye.
On the outskirts of that city were many beautiful trees and creepers encircling a nice lake. Also surrounding that lake were many groups of birds and bees that were always chanting and humming. Since the body is a great city, there must be various arrangements such as lakes and gardens for sense enjoyment. Of the various parts of the body, those which incite sexual impulses are referred to here indirectly. Because the body has genitals, when the living entity attains the right age, be he man or woman, he becomes agitated by the sex impulse. As long as one remains a child, he is not agitated by seeing a beautiful woman. Although the sense organs are present, unless the age is ripe, there is no sex impulse. The favorable conditions surrounding the sex impulse are compared herein to a garden or a nice solitary park. When one sees the opposite sex, naturally the sex impulse increases. It is said that if a man in a solitary place does not become agitated upon seeing a woman, he is to be considered a brahmachari. But this practice is almost impossible. The sex impulse is so strong that even by seeing, touching, or talking, coming into contact with, or even thinking of the opposite sex, even in so many subtle ways, one becomes sexually impelled. Consequently, a brahmachari or sannyasi is prohibited to associate with women, especially in a secret place. The Shastra, so brahmachari and sannyasi, they are not supposed to be alone with a woman. The Shastras enjoin that one should not even talk to a woman in a secret place, even if she happens to be one's own daughter, sister, or mother. The sex impulse is so strong that even if one is very learned, he becomes agitated in such circumstances. If this is the case, how can a young man in a nice park remain calm and quiet after seeing a beautiful young woman? Hima nirjhara viprushma
Hima nirjara vikrishma
kusuma karavayuna
kusuma paravayuna
chalat pravala vittapa
Chalakpravala vittapa
nalini tatta sampade.
Nalini tatta sampade.
The branches of the trees standing on the bank of the lake received particles of water carried by the spring air from the falls coming down from the icy mountain. In this verse, the word Hima Nirjara is particularly significant. The waterfall represents a kind of liquid humor or rasa relationship. In the body, there are different types of humor, rasa or mellow. The supreme mellow relationship is called the sexual mellow, adiras. When this adiras or sex desire comes in contact with the spring air moved by Cupid, it becomes agitated. In other words, all these are representations of Rup, Ras, Gandha, Shabda, and Sparsh. The wind is Sparsh or touch, the waterfall is Ras or taste, the spring air, Kusumakara, is smell. All these varieties of enjoyment make life very pleasing, and thus we become captivated by material existence. We are very moved. We get so involved in this world because of our senses, and we find it so enjoyable. When there's cool wind blowing, when we are hearing nice sounds, smelling nice fragrances, we get very intoxicated, very pleased, very involved with the material nature. Nana Ranyam Ragavratin
Anaranyam Vigavrate
Anabhade Muni Vriten
Anabhade Munivrate
Ahutam Manyate Pantho
Ahutam Manyate Pantu
Yatra Kokila Kuchite.
Yatra Kokila Kunchite.
In such an atmosphere, even the animals of the forest became non-violent and non-envious, like great sages. Consequently, the animals did not attack anyone. Over and above everything was the cooing of the cuckoos. Any passenger passing along that path was invited by that atmosphere to take rest in that nice garden. A peaceful family with wife and children is compared to the peaceful atmosphere of the forest. Children are compared to non-violent animals. Sometimes, however, wives and children are called Swajanakya Dasyu, burglars in the name of kinsmen. A man earns his livelihood with hard labor, But the result is that he is plundered by his wife and children, exactly as a person in a forest is attacked by some thieves and burglars who take his money. Nonetheless, in family life, the turmoil of wife and children appears to be like the cooing of the cuckoos in the garden of family life. Being invited by such an atmosphere, the person who's passing through such a blissful family life desires to have his family with him at all costs. So it's very pleasing to have a peaceful life, you know, to have the husband, wife, the children. It's very pleasing atmosphere. That's what keeps us bound in this material world. It doesn't mean that we just, renounce everything artificially. Krishna says artificial renouncement is not good. Rather, as Lord Chaitanya says, we stay where we are, whatever is our position, whether we are in family, not in family, we stay where we are and chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Yadra chaya gatam tatra
Yatra chaya gatam tatra
dadarsha pramadottamam
dadasha pramadottamam
Bhrityar dashabhir ayantim
pritye dashvir ayantim
ekeka shatanayake.
ekeka shatanayaka.
While wandering here and there in that wonderful garden, King Purañjana suddenly came in contact with a very beautiful woman who was walking there without any engagement. She had 10 servants with her, and each servant had hundreds of wives accompanying him. The body has already been compared to a beautiful garden. During youth, the sex impulse is awakened, and the intelligence, according to one's imagination, is prone to contact the opposite sex. In youth, a man or woman is in search of the opposite sex by intelligence or imagination, if not directly. The intelligence influences the mind, and the mind controls the 10 senses. 5 of these senses gather knowledge, and 5 work directly. So the 10, what was said, the 10 servants are compared to the 10 senses. 5 senses are the knowledge acquiring senses, the eyes, ears, nose, the skin. Those are the knowledge acquiring senses. And 5 working senses, hands, legs, mouth, anus, genitals. Each sense has many desires to be fulfilled. Our eyes want to see something, ears want to hear something. This is the position of the body and the owner of the body, Purañjana, who is within the body. So our senses are always wanting some engagement. We are inside the body. The heart was called the capital, decorated with so many desires. And now the senses are also directing us. The sense one, sense enjoyment. Pancha Shirsha Hina Guptam
Pancha sheshahina bhuttam
Pratiharena Sarvata
pratiharena sarvata
Anveshamanam Rishabham
anveshamana vishabham
Aprodham Kamarupinim.
aprodham kamarupini.
The woman was protected on all sides by a 5-hooded snake. She was very beautiful and young, and she appeared very anxious to find a suitable husband. The vital force of a living entity includes the 5 kinds of air working within the body, which are known as pran, apan, vyan, samman, and udan. So there are 5 kinds of airs within our body that is surrounding the soul. The pran is the air which is keeping the soul inside the body. The vital force is compared to a serpent. because a serpent can live by simply drinking air. The vital force carried by the air is described as the pratihar or the bodyguard. Without the vital force, one cannot live for a moment. Indeed, all the senses are working under the protection of the vital force. The woman who represents intelligence was searching after a husband. This indicates that intelligence cannot act without consciousness. A beautiful woman is useless unless protected by the proper husband. Intelligence must always be very fresh. Therefore, the word apraudha, very young, is used here. Material enjoyment means utilizing the intelligence for the sake of rupa, ras, gandha, shabda, and sparsha, or form, taste, smell, sound, and touch. So, the material intelligence, by intelligence, we want to enjoy in different ways. We want to smell something nice, we want to see something nice, we want to touch something nice, we want to hear something nice, we want to taste something nice. But the spiritual intelligence is the real intelligence which helps us to get out of the material world, to understand I'm not the body, I'm spirit soul. And how can we cultivate this spiritual intelligence? Because right now our intelligence is just how can I enjoy this Rupra, Skanda, Shabda, and Sparsh? So, but how can we change our intelligence towards spiritual life? How can we spiritualize our intelligence? By reading the scriptures, by hearing from the scriptures. Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita helps us to purify our intelligence. And of course, also chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Sunasam Sudatimbalam
Sunasam Suddhitimbalam
Sukha Polam Varananam
Sukhapulam Varananam
Samavinyasta Karnabhyam
Samavinyasta Karnabhyam
Bipratim Kundala Shriyam.
Vipratim Kundala Shriyam.
The woman's nose, teeth, and forehead were all very beautiful. Her eyes were equally very beautiful and were bedecked with dazzling earrings. So the woman is compared to the intelligence, no? And she's searching for consciousness. So the body of intelligence enjoys the objects of sense gratification that cover it, such as smell, vision, and hearing. So the senses we want, our intelligence right now is, oh, how I can enjoy more, how I can smell more, see better, hear more. The word sonasa, beautiful nose, indicates the organ for acquiring knowledge by smell. Similarly, the mouth is the instrument for acquiring knowledge by taste. For by chewing an object and touching it with the tongue, we can understand its taste. The mouth is also one of the knowledge acquiring sense. When we put the food in our mouth, then we understand, this is rice, this is dokla. Get the knowledge by taste. The word sukhapolam, nice forehead, indicates a clear brain, capable of understanding things as they are. By intelligence, one can set things in order. The earrings set upon the two ears are placed there by the work of the intelligence. Thus, the ways of acquiring knowledge are described metaphorically. So, what is trying to be said is that our senses, our eyes want to see beautiful things. We always like to see beautiful things, so we don't like to see dirty things. And then ears want to hear nice, pleasing sound. The nose, we want to smell beautiful, like nice fragrances. And all our intelligence is utilized in that way. Vishanga Nivim Shushroni.
Shanga Nivim Shushruni
Shyamam Kanaka
Shamam Kanakame Kalam
Pad Padbhyam Vanadbhyam Chalantim
Yam Vanabhyam Chalantim
Nupure Devatam Iva.
Nupure Devatam Iva.
The waist and hips of the woman were very beautiful. She was dressed in a yellow sari with a golden belt. While she walked, her ankle bells rang. She appeared exactly like a denizen of the heavens. This verse expresses the joyfulness of the mind upon seeing a woman with raised hips and breast dressed in an attractive sari and bedecked with ornaments. So for the man it's the woman, for the woman it's the man. Stanau Vyanjita Kaishorao
Tanav Punjita Teshura
Samavritau Nirantarao
Samavritau Nirantaro
Vastrantena Nigohantim
Vastrantena Niguhantim
Vidya Gajagaminim.
Vidyaya Gajagamini.
At the end of her sari, the woman was trying to cover her breasts, which were equally round and well placed side by side. She again and again tried to cover them out of shyness, while she walked exactly like a great elephant. The two breasts represent attachment and envy, the symptoms of rag and dvesh. Attachment and envy are described in Bhagavad Gita 3.34. Indriya yas yendriyasyarthe raga dvesha vyavasthita tayorna vasham akachet tauhi asya paripanthino. Attraction and repulsion for sense objects are felt by embodied beings, but one should not fall under the control of senses and sense objects because they are stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization. So, rag and dvesh, attachment and envy. So we have this attachment and envy, but we should control it, not get captured by the sense objects. But it's so difficult, then what do we do? Get attached to Krishna, use the senses in the service of Krishna. Try to see the beauty of Krishna, the beauty of the deities, hear Krishna Katha, hear the chanting of the holy names. Speaking, we love to speak. So, speaking from the scriptures, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, like that. These representatives of attachment and envy are very much unfavorable for advancement in spiritual life. One should not be attracted by the breasts of young women. The great saint Shankaracharya has described the breasts of women, especially young women, as nothing but a combination of muscles and blood. So, one should not be attracted by the illusory energy of raised breasts with nipples. They are agents of Maya meant to victimize the opposite sex. Because the breasts are equally attractive, they are described as samavritam. The sex impulse remains in an old man's heart also, even up to the point of death. To be rid of such agitation, one must be very much advanced in spiritual consciousness, like Yamunacharya who has said. So Shankaracharya is saying, oh, that you're getting attracted. But this is just blood and muscle that you're getting attracted. It's just Maya trying to capture. But we are not able to listen, we don't understand. We just get captured by the beauty of the opposite sex, not understanding that it is all temporary and that we are not the bodies. If we look inside the skin, quite gross actually, if we open the skin and see inside. Yad avati mama cheta Krishna padarvinde Nava rasya dhamani udyatam rantamase tat avadibata nari sangame sammaryamani bhavati mukhavikare shushtu nishtivanam cha. Since I have been engaged in the transcendental loving service of Krishna, realizing ever new pleasure in him, whenever I think of sex pleasure, I spit at the thought and my lips curl with distaste. So this is Ramanacharya is saying this. He was a great king before, so king Kshatriyas have, more passion, more sense gratification. But after he gave up, after he became a devotee, he says that now he's just experiencing pleasure in devotional service. When one is spiritually advanced, he can no longer be attracted by the lumps of flesh and blood, which are the breasts of young women. The word nirantara is significant because although the breasts are situated in different locations, the action is the same. We should not make any distinction between attachment and envy, as described in Bhagavad Gita 3:37. They are both products of Rajoguna. Kama Esha, Krodha Esha, Rajoguna Samudbhava. So attachment and envy. When we are too much affected by passion, Rajoguna, then that gives us attachment and that gives rise to envy. Krishna is telling us to rise above this attachment and envy. He wants us to give it up. Right now we are attached to the material, but we need to change that attachment to attachment to Krishna, attachment to hearing, to chanting. That can be done in the association of devotees. Lord Kapila says to his mother Devahuti in third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that attachment is the cause of our suffering. But when the same attachment, when we attach ourselves to the pure devotees, to Krishna, then it's the cause of our liberation. So the word niguhantim, trying to cover, indicates that even if one is tainted by kam, lobh, krodh, etc., they can be transfigured by Krishna consciousness. In other words, one can utilize kam, lust, for serving Krishna. Being impelled by lust, an ordinary worker will work hard day and night. Similarly, a devotee can work hard day and night to satisfy Krishna. So same, the desire to work is there. So one is working for own pleasure. Oh, I will work very hard. And with the result, I'm going to enjoy. Whereas the devotee is saying, I will work very hard. Why? To please Krishna. So just as karmis are working hard to satisfy kama krodha, a devotee should work in the same way to satisfy Krishna. We really work very hard to enjoy. We work very hard so that we can be happy. We take up different kinds of efforts, different kind of endeavors. We change so many situations or positions. Why? Because we want to enjoy and we want to be happy. But the same effort, if we can put to please Krishna, that is when actually we will find real happiness. We'll find the real bliss, the real peace when we can satisfy Krishna, please Krishna. Similarly, krodh, anger can also be used in the service of Krishna when it is applied to the non-devotee demons. Hanumanji applied his anger in this way. So it's not that devotees don't get angry. Hanumanji got angered. He got angry. That's how he burnt Lanka. But in our position, it's better not to get angry because we don't know how to control it. We don't know how to use it in the proper way in Krishna's service. So Hanumanji, of course, he's a great devotee, so he knows how to use anger in the service of Lord Ramachandra or Arjuna. He's a great devotee, so he knew how to use his anger to fight for the pleasure of Krishna. But we don't have that control. That we are not able to control our anger, so it's better not to get angry. He was a devotee of Lord Ramachandra and he utilized his anger to set fire to the kingdom of Ravan, a non-devotee demon. Thus, calm, lust can be utilized to satisfy Krishna, and krodh, anger, can be utilized to punish the demons. Calm, how we said, can work, satisfy Krishna, is work for Krishna. Work hard for the pleasure of Krishna. Hearing, chanting, remembering, praying, and giving the chanting to others, facilitating others to hear and chant and glorify Krishna. So when both are used for Krishna service, they lose their material significance and become spiritually important. So using calm and krodh in the service of Krishna. We have these things. It's not that we don't have, but it's only we don't know how to control them. We don't know how to use them in Krishna's service. So the more we hear, the more we chant, the more we will get the intelligence how to use this natural inclination in Krishna's service, in the association of devotees. So in the association of devotees, we can change our attachment, as Lord Kapila said in the third canto of Bhagavatam. Any questions or comments?
All good.
Yeah.
Yes, I have, but I will ask after recording.
Okay. So we'll stop here for today then. Thank you so much for listening and joining in. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. I'm not able to. One moment, I don't know what's happening. Oh, one moment.